Former Representative Tom Malinowski held more than 100 town halls. He suggests a different reason why Kaine won't hold public events.
He doesn't have, to put it very kindly, a lot of mental or verbal acuity in those situations. And I think that's really what they are trying to hide from voters here, that this is somebody who isn't capable of doing one of the most basic things that an elected representative is supposed to do.
But Republican strategist Jeanette Hoffman points to Vice President Kamala Harris, who's also been criticized for not doing enough press interviews. Hoffman says Kaine's strategy is a smart one because he won't necessarily get fair treatment from reporters.
It hasn't hurt him because he maintains a high level of visibility and accessibility to his constituents. I think in this day and age, when politicians can communicate directly to voters via social media, it doesn't hurt them as much to not do traditional interviews with reporters.
And just like the last election cycle, I will get to see Kaine in action once. He debates Sue Altman on October 13th in a live-streamed event by NJ Globe. Nancy Solomon, WNYC News.
WNYC is supported by Sony Pictures presenting Saturday Night, a new film from director Jason Reitman about the television revolution that changed pop culture, written by Gil Keenan and Jason Reitman, now playing in select theaters. WNYC is a media partner of Socrates Sculpture Park and the 2024 Party in the Park event on September 28th. Information available at socratessculpturepark.org/party.
Great news, book lovers. Get Lit is back. The WNYC and the New York Public Library Book Club will be both in person and streaming. I'm Allison Stewart, and our September selection is the book The Demon of Unrest by Erik Larson, a riveting history of the lead up to the Civil War. New Yorkers can borrow an ebook from the New York Public Library and then join me, Ann Larson, for an event on September 30th at 6 p.m. You can find details at wnyc.org/getlit.
Tensions are high between Israel and Hezbollah as the two trade fire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this on Tuesday.
Now, starting this morning, the IDF has warned you to get out of harm's way.
Israel says it's targeting sites where Hezbollah has stored weapons. The attacks are deadlier than the 2006 war between both parties. What's the possibility of an all-out war? That's next time on 1A. Weekdays at 3 on 93.9 FM, AM 820, or live stream it at WNYC.org.
That's coming up later today here on WNYC. Right now, it's Morning Edition. I'm Tiffany Hansen. So glad for your company this morning. We are hard at work bringing you the latest coming in since last night. Multiple reports indicating that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted on federal criminal charges. The charges against the mayor remain unclear. The indictment remains sealed. Mayor Eric Adams did release a video late last night. In it, he said he will not resign. He said, quote, "If I am charged, I know I am innocent." The mayor also trying to assure New Yorkers that he can manage the city despite the pending criminal case, a pending criminal case. We are expecting more details this morning, so do stay with us. Coming up at 9 this morning as well, a special edition of The Brian Lehrer Show. Brian talking about what's next for Mayor Eric Adams. Lots for you on this unfolding story coming up this morning here on WNYC.
OpenAI is taking the non out of nonprofit.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Bitwarden Password Manager. Bitwarden is designed to offer password security from any device at any location, securing both sensitive business information and personal accounts. Learn more at bitwarden.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. OpenAI, the startup that created ChatGPT, is reportedly planning to switch from being a nonprofit to a for-profit entity. This would be a big change. OpenAI was founded almost a decade ago as a nonprofit research organization whose goal was to develop artificial intelligence that would be safe and beneficial for humanity while avoiding the pressures associated with prioritizing profit. Marketplace's Nova Safo is here with more. Hi, Nova.
Good morning, Sabri.
So a lot of changes going on at OpenAI. There were a bunch of high-ranking executives left. Another big departure yesterday. Now there's this potential restructuring. So how would that change the company?
A lot of changes. OpenAI is right now two things. There's a for-profit company that deals with other firms, including Microsoft, and a nonprofit entity. Right now, the nonprofit's technically in charge. So if this restructuring happens, it would basically flip the script. For the for-profit would reportedly become the main entity, and there will be a nonprofit with a minority stake. Also, CEO Sam Altman reportedly would gain a significant ownership stake in OpenAI, which could be worth billions of dollars, Sabri.
What would be the significance of these changes?
Well, one of the current limitations of the structure in place is that it has a cap on financial returns for investors. This was set up according to the company itself so that profit would not deter it from its core research mission. So removing that cap should make it easier to get more investment in. And in fact, Reuters says that's been a condition imposed by investors in the current financing round that OpenAI is engaged in. And if it fails to restructure, it might have to revise those investments, Sabri.
All right. Marketplace's Nova Safo, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Shoppers are expected to spend a record $18.5 billion using buy now, pay later financing this year. This is according to Adobe's latest forecast. That is an 11% increase over last year. And there are reasons, good and bad, to not pay now if you don't have to, but this could be a sign consumers are feeling a little strapped as we head towards the holidays. Marketplace's Kristen Schwab has more on what this means.
Shoppers are now seeing buy now, pay later everywhere, especially online. Around 3/4 of this spending happens on a mobile device. Also, Vivek Pandya, an analyst at Adobe, says it's used more when people's wallets are strained.
Especially as consumers have been managing inflation. And right now we're seeing it really continue to move at a decent clip.
Some shoppers may use this method as a budgeting tool. Sheridan Trent at payments and consulting firm TSG says this showed up in the firm's most recent survey.
The largest portion had said, well, I'm trying to kind of keep more money in my bank account so I could sort of better budget over a few months.
Sheridan says using Affirm or Klarna to do this is fine, as long as consumers keep track of due dates. What worries her is when people are using these options for necessities.
It's a measurable increase in people using buy now, pay later to cover grocery purchases.
Trent says she'll be looking at whether they also do this for holiday meals. I'm Kristen Schwab for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow futures up 0.5%, NASDAQ up 1.5%, S&P futures up 0.8%. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 3.772%. Congress has approved a stopgap spending bill averting a partial government shutdown that would have begun next week. This would fund the government through December 20th, when Congress would have to do this all over again. The bill now goes to President Joe Biden to sign.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by the Financial Times, whose pink pages fearlessly report on U.S. politics from a global perspective. There's more at FT.com. And by Amazon Business, focused on offering smart business buying solutions, leaving time to focus on growth. More at AmazonBusiness.com.
Last week, suddenly, a lot more people applied for mortgages. The number of mortgage applications rose 11% from a week earlier to its highest level in more than 2 years, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. A lot of the jump was people refinancing. Refinancing applications were up 20%. As Marketplace's Justin Ho reports, falling interest rates are convincing borrowers to take another look at their existing mortgages, at least some borrowers.
The number of people who could benefit from refinancing has been growing over the last few weeks.
A large portion of it comes from folks that have taken out their mortgage over the last couple of years.
That's Andy Walden, Vice President of Research and Analysis with Intercontinental Exchange.
In fact, 40% of folks that have taken out their mortgages in 2023 or 2024 could save at least 0.75% through a refinance at today's interest rates.
Walden says that's because many of those borrowers took out mortgages with interest rates in the high 6 to 7% range. And the recent drop in mortgage rates is exactly what they've been waiting for.
A lot of folks that purchased their home over the last couple of years bought that home in anticipation of being able to refinance that mortgage if and when interest rates fell. And you're starting to see that opportunity present itself.
That said, mortgage rates are still hovering at just over 6% right now on average.
You still have a large segment of homeowners out there with rates well below market rates.
That's Joel Kahn, Deputy Chief Economist with the Mortgage Bankers Association. More than 3/4 of all borrowers have mortgages with rates below 5%, according to the real estate company Redfin. Kahn says for those borrowers, refis just don't make sense right now.
It's hard to justify if you're sitting on a rate that's 3 or even 4% to make the move in a market where rates are still around 6%.
Homeowners also know that refis come with their own costs, says Chris Duncan, senior loan officer at LaSalle State Bank in Illinois.
Generally, there's going to be an appraisal that's going to be required, or there's going to be recording charges. There's going to be title insurance charges. The bank's going to charge you some fees.
Duncan says many borrowers will probably want to hold off on refinancing because interest rates are likely to keep falling.
A lot of people, I think, look at it and say, well, if the Fed is signaling that they're going to reduce rates within the next couple of months again, and possibly at the start of next year, why not wait that out?
Duncan says a lot of his clients refinanced their mortgages 3 or 4 years ago when interest rates were a lot lower than they are right now. That means his bank's refi business has probably dried up. I'm Justin Ho for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm Sabri Ben-Achour with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.